story. Joe is not here today. He had a
You
dear
look so
friend
much
of
better,
his.
Joe. You look so much better, Joe.
This has been recorded. Don't tell him that. He unfortunately had a death of a very dear friend's wife, and he decided to put on his mask, get on a plane, and go be with the family for the funeral today. So, you know, our prayers are with that family. I'm going to get a little bit of help from Curtis May, our associate in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Practical Wealth Advisors, one of our top producers, and my dear, dear friend and associate, Jeff Fiore, who is going to give us a market update. He is a market, should I say the word, is guru good enough for you? Anyways, all right, Chris, why don't you tell me what you need from me? You're going to share your screen?
I'm going to share my screen. Yep.
Okay. So let me give you sharing options here, which I don't even know how to do that. Hold on one second. Let me share, and then I'll give you, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit later. Yeah.
No, yeah. You gotta click on my picture and make me host.
Gotcha.
I did this to somebody last night.
Careful when you use the word host. Might mean you're the coronavirus.
You knew the supplements I was taking, that is not even that's a non-issue.
I just made you the host, buddy. You take it.
All right, so I'm going to tell you both things I know, which is not that much. So actually, I was thinking about one of the things that I have been sharing on our podcast and just with our clients is that hold on, let me see something. Can you see?
Everybody see his screen?
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
So
let's make sure we all get muted.
Joe and I met at the Prosperity Economics Summit for Prosperity Economic Advisors. And one of the things that I talk to people about is that there's what I call principles, there's strategy, and there's tactics. And I find that most people have strategy or they have tactic. They're very tactical. They're looking for this. Should I invest in this? Should I invest in that? And, you know, or this product or that product. One of the analogies I use when I talk to our clients is to tell them what I do. I says, listen, let's say I have to go, I have a, let's say we're going to go play in the Masters Golf most prestigious event, and I got two things to give you, but you could only have one. I could give you the clubs of any of the best players on the tour, or I could touch you on the shoulder and give you their swing. Which one would you rather have? Y'all can answer, because I want to be interactive.
The swing.
The swing, right? And so now, so let's bring this back to the financial world. The companies are what I call club manufacturers. Okay? And most people, and then the most financial representatives are club salespeople. And most people are obsessed. So clients will ask you, well, you know, what do you think I should do? Should I be in stock? You know, should I be in equity? Should I be in bonds? Should I get a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage? Should I get EFTs? Those are club questions. And I'm the swing coach. Now, I tell people, look, I sell clubs, but it's not about the clubs at this point in our conversation. It's the swing. It's your philosophy. It's how you think. That makes sense. And so feel free to use that. That's not Curtis has no original thoughts, right? But it's about being the swing coach. What's your philosophy? So I may go through all of them. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all of these, but I want you to, one of the things that we talk about is a principle is a fundamental truth, right? Wow, these things are probably driving me crazy. The fundamental truth or proposition that serves as the foundation or system of belief or behavior. So even as, you know, so if you're listening to this and you're a client or even an advisor, you've got to have a philosophy about money, a philosophy about how you're going to create wealth. You have to have a philosophy about your money rules, because here's the thing that I teach is there's no success in any product. There's no product that will take you to glory. That's complete BS, okay? And so if you're going to win, you know, is this too harsh? If you're going to win, I say if you're going to win, you got to have principles, and then you got to have a philosophy about handling money. So what happens is if definition is a matter of principle, a situation that requires something to be done a certain way because one believes it's the right way. So let's talk about the first principle that and this is really important in the midst of this corona stuff is thinking, right? And you got to think, let me move this, from a prosperous mindset, right? Because most people are in scarcity, and scarcity thinking keeps you stuck. So in the midst of, like, on the other side of crisis is opportunity. And so, you know, if you're thinking from a prosperous mindset, there are opportunities abound. I've started like 3 businesses in the last month and a half to supplement, because I'm looking for opportunities to be a better service to, there are people that if I could sew, I got a cousin doing this, I'd be selling masks. I'm an entrepreneur, right? And so you've got to look for people. Everybody's not broke. I've got a lot of people that are essential workers, I'm finding out. And then how can you create value in the marketplace? So you have to think, because what we're doing is people get scared. You know, you got to cut the TV off. You can't listen to, you got to do your research and figure out how this thing works, and stop being sheep led to slaughter. Okay, you have to think. And so that's because that's your stewardship. See, so you have, and you got to think from a macro standpoint. So principle 1 is think. How do you think? And when stuff comes at you, nothing's in and of itself either good and bad. It's all in how you respond to it. So the first principle is think. The second one is see. So you want to think from a big picture perspective. So when I talk about, I tell our clients, listen, you can't control the economy, but you can control your personal economy, which is your production and consumption as a family. And so when you see stuff, so if you, but economics is major. So when I started studying through Nelson, Austrian economics, I lived through like 3 or 4 crashes, and I would never understood. It annoyed me, because all I would hear from the wholesalers at Smith Barney was, well, don't worry, the market's going to come back. And or some bare platitude like that. And I couldn't stand it. I needed to figure out, well, why is this happening? Okay. Because if you understand why it's happening, you can A, 1, protect yourself, and B, take advantage of the opportunities that will present themselves if you are prepared, if you see what's coming, if you know. Nelson always tells us, he says, what? It's what did he say? He had somebody say, I got Nelson, my Nelsonism.
If you know what's happening, you'll
know what to do. Yes, thank you. If you know what's happening, you'll know what to do. Most people don't know what's happening, and they're distracted by what I call bread and circuses. So, and you have to measure the efficiency of an asset. And I tell people, look, if you're going to create maximum wealth is not about finding better investments. It's first you have to create maximum efficiency. Just before I got on this call, a guy was asking about investors. I said, listen, there's 2 ways that I can help you, or one can help you in the financial world. One is to help you find better products that pay a higher rate of return, but the other way is to help you become more efficient. How do you do that? By reducing your taxes, your fees, opportunity costs. You know that your assets, liabilities, cash flow. You have to measure that. That which gets measured gets done. Because if you got a bucket, it's got holes in it, it's easier. You can't control performance, especially the way people are taught to invest, but you can control, are there ways to minimize your taxes? Yes. Are there ways to, restructure debt? So there's lots of things like that. And so if you got a bucket that's got holes in it, do you want to turn up the volume of the water, which is what most people want to do? But doesn't it make sense to plug the holes first? Yes or no? Yes. And so I told people, look, Curtis is the hole plugger guy. So we're going to help you plug the holes. Most wealth is lost by how, one, people manage cash flow, and two, through wealth transfers. How you pay your mortgage, taxes, how you fund your retirement plans, how you pay for education, and how you pay for major capital purchases. There's more money lost in those 5 things that you'll ever make trying to pick the winners. Okay, so you have to start with efficiency. And so look at that. There are things that, gym memberships you're paying for, stuff that you have to look at your cash flow. Cash flow, the true value of money is cash flow. See, to me, I don't even focus people on net worth or on really on equities. So I'm not securities, so I'm not giving advice, but what happens is they don't earn a rate of return. They appreciate and depreciate. But the true focus of an asset is cash flow. So if you want to become financially independent, what is that? That is passive income greater than expenses. And so that is a function of cash flow. You can't eat equity. And so you want to buy assets that throw off a check. And when you have enough of those assets that bring in money, guess what? You're financially independent, which is your goal. And see, that is not the financial institution's goal for you. That is, their goal is they want your money. They want it on a regular basis. They want to hold it as long as they can and give it back as little as they can. So every financial product that's built is built with those 4 things in mind. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to have your rules, okay, to make sure that, okay, this game is being played with the way you want it to play. The next principle is, tell me if I'm talking too fast, Yvonne. I'm just trying to get through in 20 minutes.
Just like you're.
Am I good? All right. And so control. So the level of influence over a financial product, see, you don't really have control. See, when you study wealthy people, Buffett doesn't not trade stocks. He buys the whole damn company, right? Because he wants control of the thing, and it throws off cash flow. And so financial education, so there's such thing as bad investments, there's bad investors. So how do you lower your risk? With better education? And then you pick the products that you pick should be a result of your education, of your knowledge, not as a substitute for it. And that's major. So you want control. Liquidity. Oh boy. So think about that in today's market. We talk to our clients about 3 months, 6, really I'd say 6 to 12 months of liquidity. I just got on a call before I jumped on this call. I says, well, I got $10,000. I want to know what to invest in. I said, well, probably nothing because you don't have any money. Okay. I said 10,000. When I go and I'm calling back after this, I'll say like $10,000. How much of your income does that represent? I mean, maybe a month and a half, 2 months of your income. Well, you got another 4 months to go before you can even talk to me about investing in anything. Okay. You don't have enough liquidity. So you have to play defense. Okay. And so if you have liquidity, as Nelson says, opportunities will find you. Okay. And so rates, see, on with proper understanding how net rates relate to each other, you can measure the true efficiency of saving, investing, and borrowing. So these are things that, you need to understand as consumers, need to understand, advisors need to understand of how they all work together. We talk about in banking, the rate of interest versus the volume. A lot of people will look at, I can get a lower rate. They're so focused on rates of return. And it's really, again, it's about cash flow. It's about control. And, you have to people talk, I averaged 25% of return. I can show you how to average 25% and not make a dime. Okay, so it's it's actual versus average. So it's really understanding how money works, and which is a function of education. And the people on this call are really good at helping people analyze that kind of stuff. One of the things that I love, and I'm working on a white paper called Certainty versus Speculation, and so I like certainty, right? And so the assurance level of assumptions being used. So I like insurance because I like actuarial science. I always tell you I'd rather bet on actuarial science than Wall Street any day of the week, right? And so I want to build a foundation of certainty in our clients' programs. And so again, see, all these are principles. So one of the things is I learned this from Kim Butler. As you said, Curtis has no original thoughts. And one time I had her on my podcast and we rolled through the first 7 of these. And then we used them as an opportunity filter, right? And so we ran a 401k first through the first 7 and it failed, and because your money's not movement, it's stuck inside of, single use situations. And so you're accumulating. If you're accumulating, you're always going to lose. Okay. Because that is, fast money wins. You have to move money through assets. We talked about this actuarial science. Risk pooling helps overcome risks of longevity, property loss. It leverages math, statistics, and expertise of insurance companies to ensure a more likely outcome. Manning the masses is very predictable. Multiply. Here's the key. This is where we get into velocity, the art of getting your money to perform more than one function and finding and assets accomplishes this. That's what life insurance is. And so the money is limited to your money. If it only does one thing, it's trapped. So you can create velocity through simultaneous use. And so if you can get a product that does more than one thing, that you're creating velocity just because it does more than one thing. But then if you can get money moving into real estate, into your business that generates new cash flow, that is where velocity happens. Leverage, forget where I'm at now, enables you to do more with less. And so there's good debt and bad debt. Most people are investing with no leverage. So you literally put up 100% of money, take 100% of the risk to maybe make 20% of the profits, if there's any profits at all. And that's not me, that's a quote from Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard. Uncertainty, just as moving out of comfortable areas in our life creates opportunity to learn, obtain assets with some level of uncertainty, that creates growth, because you got to see, I think I was talking to somebody about, who wanted to come into our business, but he was uncomfortable with this and uncomfortable with that. Success, I would mention a name, I'm going to talk to somebody on this call. Success lies outside of the comfort zone. Okay. And so you have to get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. Somebody popped up on my phone. You have to be uncomfortable being uncomfortable, because there's, you always are going to grow. So you got to put yourself in harm's way, because you will surprise yourself and respond to that. So I wouldn't let because if you're an entrepreneur, so listen, you have to learn. See, one of the things in business, and I think that people have got to come out of, and I think what Corona has done is there's 2 economies out there. So there's the hours for dollars economy, and most people, what I call work processors. Okay. They go to work, somebody tells them what to do, they get paid. You have to move to being a work creator. And you have to everybody on this call lives in the performance economy. We have to, excuse the expression, I have to make shit happen. There's no check waiting for me on Friday. So that's uncertain. But if you can live with that, and you can learn how to market, then your life can become predictable, because it's like cause and effect. If you do this activity, you're going to get this many leads, and you're going to get this much revenue. So each of you in your businesses, if have those situations, or you need to embrace those situations, because security is the ability to produce. It does not lie in a job. So you have to get, so there's a saying that of a guy I follow, his name is Garrett White. He says, he who can make it rain controls the game. Okay. And so that's marketing. And so those are my 12 principles of prosperity. And so that's, Curtis is a little intense, right? You can tell that, but that's, that's what I wanted to share with you all today. So Yvonne, I'm going to turn this back over to you if I can find the controls.
Gotcha.
If I can get the, I think I can get you a PowerPoint. Somebody asked me that. I'll send it to Yvonne. And
yeah, if you can send the PowerPoint. I remember was asking if you could copy. I think that a lot of these things are Sometimes you feel
Yeah,
like
I got it off of.
sense.
If you're advised, you should be listening to the Advisor Advantage podcast with Kim Butler and her sister, and part of the Prosperity Economics. If you're in that, you can download it from there. I'll give this back to you. Wait.
Me, the host.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. There we go, guys.
Or any comments for Curtis before I turn it over to Jeff? Awesome. Jeff Fiore, what is the stock market doing these days? What's happening?
Jeff Fiore, huh? How is everybody?
We're here.
Yeah, that's kind of where the market's at. I'm just wondering, who am I speaking to? Because, most of you guys are advisors or insurance agents that are working with the infinite investment concepts, or who am I speaking to? Because I don't want to, I want to be able to not say things that are useless.
Well, I think mostly there's advisors, there's a few clients on the call as well, but I think overall, right? So
Okay.
anything that you on the status of the
I'm just
market.
trying to understand. So here's my 20-minute, let's see, share with people done. What am I doing here? Something about any rate. I'm trying to get this off of here. Something came up on my screen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Something about your Wells Fargo account has reached $0. Oh, this must be somebody else's stuff. So hopefully I'm not controlling it. It's not mine.
I don't know. Need to have somebody.
All right, try it now.
So we got it all sorted.
I think so. Are we done? Are we done sharing the screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Jeff.
All righty. So here's the deal for maybe what I can add to the mix here. I don't want to go into huge concepts or crazy things. As far as I'm going to go through the market, what my experience has been at finding financial independence and keeping it. I'm a little older maybe than some of you guys, younger than some. I'm 59. I know I maybe don't look like that, but I've been through some stuff. I've had passive income for 31 years of my life that I built up. I used that to leverage into a lot of other things, including wealth management and so on. So I've come from different sides of the fence. And I also understand where people are coming from when they don't have any money, don't have the right skill set, don't have the right conceptions and all that. I was lucky to spend time with Jim Rohn for maybe 20 years of my life, a lot of time with him. So it was a blessing that I can't even repay, and I try to repay every day if I can. He was an amazing man and an amazing mentor. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things when it comes to what do you want to do if you're a client, and do you need to understand the market? Do you understand what the market's going to do? Well, I can tell you nobody understands what the market's going to do, especially people who are educated in the market know more than anyone else that there's no way you can understand a lot of times what the market does, because it's driven by so many different forces now. There's a couple principles that are important for you to have and understand. Number one is that you do need to start generating income. You need to generate money so that you can use that money in different ways in your life. And so for me, I was a rock and roll musician when I started this. That wasn't a whole hell of a lot of money. I had my own little advertising agency. I'm seeing Curtis. So does everybody hear me? Everybody can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not saying something. So I was a rock and roll musician. I had my own advertising agency, ended up in direct sales, made my first batch of money with that, continued, and then leveraged that to some other businesses. And then it's about 20 years ago, ended up in finance. And I can kind of see things from different points of view. I see things when, people have very little and they just are frustrated and angry. And so what do? These rich people out there buying the world, and they can go out and live lives that I really want to live. And I hate these people, right? I get that. I understand where both those kind of people are coming from. I understand reinventing myself, when businesses have failed before, having to start over and educating myself. And I can tell you for sure, if you haven't had access to personal development, get some. On this call, if you guys haven't found a source of real inspiration, a real challenging to yourself, what's between your ears. Your mental nutrition is really important every day of what you're taking in. And I had the blessing to have Jim Rohn live and in person. I've flown on flights with him. And he said in a sentence what people will take a book to try to confuse you with. So, and he challenged my conceptions about wealth, about my own value, about what I have to offer to people. He said you need to become more valuable to the marketplace. That's true. You need to leverage yourself. That's true. You need to multiply your efforts. That's true. You need to give to others. Because by sharing, by giving without thought of what your return is, it creates a completely different dynamic in your life. So if you're in panic mode and desperation, like a drowning person, and grabbing everybody around you that's trying to help you, that creates a certain kind of energy, doesn't it? If you are in the position to have learned how to be a lifesaver, and you can drive out there and grab that person struggling and help them to the bank, that's a different kind of energy. So, the more you can give, the more you can have to be able to pass along, the more that's going to be coming around in your life. I know it sounds passe and it sounds like a lot of hokey shit from a book, but I can tell you it's true. I can tell you from my own life that if you have a deficit in your life, give. Learn to give something. If you don't have money, give your time, give your efforts, give your service. There's a lot of people out there hurting right now, and if you're one of them, give even more. And also find some business that you have cash flow. If you have cash flow, you can make decisions on what to do with that money. And Jim was very clear on that. Investment, savings for the rainy day, become an investor, not just a consumer. All these things are very, very important concepts. And if haven't been exposed to them, and it's not just hearing things once, by the way, it's hearing them over and over and over again until it makes an imprint deep in your mind. And it starts changing the way you think and the way you react and the way that your energy is imprinted on things around you, because people react to your energy, your thoughts, not just what your words are. A lot of times your words are actually a smokescreen, right? If there's a difference between you and your words, it actually is a huge problem in life. It's a huge problem in business. And the more you can make those two aligned, that your words and what you really think and what you stand for are the same, it makes a huge difference in what your results will be in life. People will react to you differently. They'll know that you're legitimate and that you're sincere. And you don't have to know everything. You can't know everything. There's so much to know. You can start now and have 10 lifetimes and still only make a break, crack in what's going on in the world and the things that you could learn, the libraries that are out there. So, humility is a really big thing too. Always realizing that, you can always learn. And you can learn from anybody, even a fool, right? A fool can teach you what not to do. Jim Rohn said, if you want to learn something, find somebody who was a failure, take them to dinner and write notes about everything they did, and make sure you do whatever the opposite is from what they did. So, like I said, I can't say enough about Jim. So let's get down to some serious stuff and some simple things that kind of will help. I'll try to give you, a little bit of idea of what's happening in this world as far as I can know. I'm kind of blessed because I have access to a lot of professional networks, very, very intelligent people that are keen and kind and insightful and have a lot of experience, and multiples of them that will help. As we said, you have to have cash flow. If you're at the beginning where you're in trouble, find some way to start. If you need unemployment now, you can start there. Start looking for jobs. If you don't have the skills to get a job, start getting those skills. There's times when I had to go out and become an insurance salesman, get my insurance licenses, many years ago when I between my business had a little dip and I needed some extra money. I needed to have the humility to go up there and take those tests. And it was 20 years ago, but I did that. I reinvented myself. I'm 59 now. I wasn't that young then. I had to get my securities license. Luckily not because I had to, but because I was really trying to serve others. But, get the skills. You can do that. It doesn't take a college degree to be able to become valuable to the marketplace. So find a way that you can get some skills, get around people that are doing different things, learn, expose yourself. Don't live in a bubble. That's one of the key things is knowledge is power. Information is power. Get different points of view, get different information sources, and that will help you tremendously. Don't hang around turkeys if you want to soar with eagles. Make sure you surround yourself with people that are reinforcing positive thoughts and energies, and they're, hang around with wealthy people if you want to be wealthy. Hang around with musicians if you want to be a musician. Hang around with doctors if you want to be a doctor. Be around people that will inspire you and uplift you. And at best are maybe a little beyond where you are, so that it challenges you. I love to talk to people that know a lot more than I do. I love to listen to people who know a lot more than I do, because that's the only way I can learn. And being, available to that is really important. A lot of people need to feel like they are the king of the world and they're the ultimate authority. That's stupid. That means you stopped your chances of learning. That just cut yourself off from all the energy that you could be experiencing in growth. So once you start having some income streams, some extra cash, what you do with it is hugely important. So you have to have a rainy day fund, huge. That's your first as a CFP. All these people who are certified planners will tell you you have to have a rainy day fund. You have a family, that's really huge. Making sure you got the bills covered, plus you got 3 or 4, 6 months, 1 year of reserves. Look what happened. Now when the rain kind of hit, sometimes, so for some of you guys, it's really, really, really storming. Having some cash, having access to cash so that you don't have to worry about tomorrow gives you freedom to choose. So that's hugely important. The other thing is, now look at this. This is a wonderful testing time. When times get rough like this, if your job is on the line, if your career looks like there's at a dead end, maybe you need to use this as a wake-up call to re-educate yourself and change your direction. Because there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of different things, services and things that will no longer have a future in our economy. They're going to be out, not because they're bad people or whatever. It changes. Blockbuster, opening a Blockbuster store isn't a very big future. Being a horse and buggy salesman, certainly had its out. Selling DVDs and CDs right now are passe. So you've got to see the trends. And if you're not trained for something that will serve you and your family going forward, take this time to start making a new path. Some of you guys are financial advisors. Maybe you need to help your clients see these things. But I spend a lot of my time with clients before we even get to any of their finances, as we find out about all these things first. What's going on in their life? What's happening? What are their hopes, their dreams, their fears? How are they doing? What's their greatest desires in life? What motivates them? What creates the fear in them? That we can start getting down into some of the more specifics and particulars. We cover the basics. Do you have enough cash reserve? Do you have these types of things? And then what do you invest in? Well, here's a couple of things that have always done well. This real estate, the stock market, right? Through time, they're the greatest wealth creators that have proven themselves in all kinds of different cycles. There's ups and down times, of course, and a lot of things are tied to the stock market. Even if you're talking about things like the insurance policies that we sell for infinite banking, that's tied to the stock market indirectly, because where do you think that money comes from? From the insurance companies. They have investment portfolios that make that return available, that they can give on those, the dividends they can give on the policies available to you guys. So indirectly, they are, there's certain things that can create wealth. So we want to look at this time to say, okay, this is a real stress test. Stress tests are things you put through banks to make sure that they're not going to go insolvent, or different companies. And this is a stress test in our lives. So how are we faring? How is what we are hanging our hats on faring? How is our investment portfolio faring in this time of stress? There's some portfolios that had gone up 30, 40% in the last years, because you almost could wear a blindfold and throw a dart at the board and make money in the stock market in the last 7 years, 8 years, because it's been a general bull market. This is the first time that it's really hit headwinds since 2008, 2007, when things got really crazy at that point. So how did the portfolio managers do when things got down? How did your investments do when things hit down? I know a lot of my, I see clients that had their portfolios they brought in, they got hit 30, 35% on their portfolios. Others had an aggressive portfolio and it was down 8%. Now, what's that tell you? That not all investment philosophies and strategies are equal. If you don't know enough about investment, you have to start with the simple things. And I always explain to them that there's risk mitigation strategies to invest. And certainly the least risky gives you the least reward generally too. Risk and reward are part of this balance that are there. So what is the larger risk you are willing to take for a greater reward? As you know, with the whole life policies that are popular, that that's a 4, 5, 6% return in general, and the risk, of course, is mitigated because you're basically not in the stock market directly, but you're hanging your hat that insurance company is going to be solvent, and it'll be there to be able to give you that return. So that risk is very moderate or low. Bank accounts are, the banks always go down. You buy a government bond and the government could become insolvent. I mean, there's always a risk with everything. But as you go up the risk scale, you start seeing some different rewards. So what I always say too, that with people, when you start investing, I always look at some simple risk mitigated investments, and insurance should be number one in that regards, because you can use insurance. People need insurance, and it's a bill that they should be paying because they have perhaps a family, they have responsibilities, they need to have care, they need to have long-term care, they need to be planning. Those are the pillars of any portfolio that I look at for a client. What do you have all these things covered? Because you can, with insurance, you can have a tax-free return on some of these things, and there's some pretty good investments that can be made through the insurance world. Annuities, even though they have a bad name, and there's a lot of shitty annuities out there. I'll use my language if I can. But it's risk mitigated because you do have a zero floor in almost all annuities I've ever seen. Some of them are crap. Some of them are not worth the paper they're written on. And some of them are actually quite decent for people for the right circumstances. So that's another one that's kind of in that range. And from there, you have some other options that, have some risk and have some protection and downside. When you're looking even at portfolios and investment portfolios, any investment advisor worth their salt will have shorts on any long positions. So if you're somebody who's betting the market's going to go up, you're also going to have a hedge that you're going to have some downside protection in the mix of your market too, so that when you balance those things out, you've got risk mitigation. So whether the market goes up or down, now obviously you should have a much better educated idea about what's happening. But the market right now, I don't know if you guys probably are following this. Some of you are absolutely doing this. The lowest point in the market was March 23rd. So at that point, as of right now, the market was down to a record low for years before that. And so jumping into portfolios at that time was actually a no-brainer. We had a lot of people saying there was a lot of undervalued stocks and so on. Since then, the market has recovered almost erratically and irrationally because there's been market up spurts, and I've talked to a lot of analysts who are really smart, and I just keep on asking the same question: what the hell's happening? Why is the market reacting like this when we don't know what the hell's really going on? It seems like a little bit of good news creates this huge boost in stock values, and now the marginal values for a lot of these things are a little bit, kind of preemptively high. So, putting in your money right now into a stock market, if you're thinking of a short-term position, the risk is going to be high because you could have a 20% drop easily, and maybe you have a 5% gain in a short period of time. So this is what I always tell my clients: make sure you cover your investments with the risk-free options first. Insurance, if an annuity works for you guys, if there's some matching situations and your boss in 401k is matching your contributions, absolutely, I would take advantage of that. Make sure you contribute to the matching point. Once they stop matching you, there's a lot of other things we can do to look at, especially if you're younger and you have a longer time horizon for your investments. I always say this too to my clients: don't get in the market short term. Do not do this for a quick killing. Those are that's not what you're looking to do. People ask me, well, which stocks should I buy now? Because I hear there's such great bargains. I said, I'm not even going to answer that question. If you're not a serious investor, if you're not looking at this as a portfolio for a right time horizon, that's not my my specialty. I said, the Las Vegas will be opening up again here in another month or two. And there's a lot of tables there you can go on to and try that, because, you know, that's pretty much kind of the same thing. There's a lot of unknowns. But, you know, I look at it this way, that, you know, you've got inflation that's your headwind. You've got to be able to beat inflation. You've got to be able to make sure that your investment, if you get to a point where you want to have financial freedom at some point in your life, which means you have residual income or you have enough investment income coming in that covers all of your needs and a wonderful lifestyle on top of that, that's a great place to be. That's a wonderful place to get to. Doesn't mean you have to do it at 65. I've seen a lot of people that have done it well before that time. You know, that's a plan that you have. Talk to somebody seriously about that type of plan. You know, I see a lot of small business people that we've set up with different things, and they'll have $100,000 a year coming in tax-free by the time they're 50 or 45. You know, that's a wonderful way of life. They may start a new business at that point. They may have a new challenge at that point. You know, think big, start thinking differently. Don't think like a working person who's going to get a watch at the end of the day, because nobody's going to give you that watch anymore. That time is over. There's no more watches. There's no more, unless you're a police officer, there's no more pensions and all that kind of thing. 401ks are not necessarily a really great leverage to be able to retire on, and a lot of people have realized that. So, you know, utilizing all the arsenal and an investor's quiver, and make sure you talk to them about their basic philosophies, their basic life situation, their basic reality, you know, and some of the things that they may need to put into place first. Like I said, becoming re-educated, getting a different earning potential going, and so on. We can help people a lot in different ways along the way until they get some money to where you can manage it for them as well. So that's kind of what I have. If there's any questions, I'm here. If not, it's been a pleasure.
Does anybody have any questions for Jeff? And for some of you who may not be securities licensed, you know, Jeff is part of Alpha Mega Wealth. He's always available to either talk to your clients, help you out with whatever questions you may have about anything securities. And he's just a great, honest guy that I trust. And I think that he's a great addition to our team. So thank you, Jeff, for sharing. I'm going to close the meeting with something that I found. Somebody sent this to me, and let me know if you guys can see my screen. If you can't, hold on a second. I am going to share this one. Ali, share screen too. So is that this one? Hold on one second. Oh, right here. You guys can see my screen by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay. Like a chart that says the new normal?
Nope. I can see your face.
Hold on a second. How about now?
Nope.
No.
Hold on. Breakdown as always.
No, still can't see anyone.
Hold on. I'm working on it. I have 3 monitors going on here. So, you know, this is screen 3, right, Ali? Okay. Can you guys see my screen now? Do you see a chart?
Nope.
What is going on? I got my Ali here. Maybe she can help me. Hold on. What about now?
No.
No. Can you go to share screen, click on the screen that you want to show, double click?
I'm doing that, my friend. That's exactly
You
what I'm
are?
doing. Yes.
That's kind of crazy then. There we go.
There you go.
Yay! Did it come? Did it come up? Do you guys
See
see
your
this new
family.
normal thing?
This is
We see your
desktop.
family.
It's there on yours.
Did you see it?
You see your
We
desktop.
see your family. We see your
Oh, my.
family.
Hold on.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
Did you see it now?
That's COVID. Can you see you're outside?
You see this new normal?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Sorry about that. I have like 3 different screens and all your faces are in one screen and I have another screen. It's a mess in here. So I got this from a friend of mine. By the way, this came from an entity in Europe called Europol. And Europol, and let me tell you, I'm going to read to you what these people are. because as you all know, Europe is a little bit ahead of this mess, right? They started a little bit earlier than we did. And this particular company deals with something that we really need to, and talking about investments and our careers and cash flow, that's all great, but there's other things that we need to consider during this period of time. And they are a law enforcement agency in Europe that prevents all forms of serious international and organized crime, cybercrime, and terrorism. So their number one concern that we really also need to think about is what is going to be our new normal. And don't you just love those words, social distancing, new normal. Get prepared to hear a lot about this, because I want to show some of the things. And by the way, they created this chart in every single language that's spoken in Europe. And they forwarded every government in Europe so that people can start thinking about how not only do I move forward with money in my career, but how do I go out back into the world and protect myself? Crime, cybercrime has become a much bigger issue. And I want to go through these little quadrants really quick before we finish here. And here's some things that you need to make sure that you're avoiding as you move into going back into the world and how to protect yourself. So the first thing that they said is to really avoid sharing your location on social media. And many of us, and I didn't even know that I automatically share my location, which I just kind of stopped. But you really need to be careful, because the threat of someone hacking you or getting into your bank accounts is very real, right? You also need to protect against burglaries. Apparently there has been an increase in burglaries. People get desperate, they don't have jobs. You really need to be careful. You need to make sure that when you go out, you keep your valuables. But here's what really caught my eye. There has been now a new wave of fake masks, test kits, and vaccines that are lurking around. And really be careful for something that is too good to be true, or if you order something online and it's not a reputable website, it could definitely be a scam. And they talk about, and there's a whole article that goes with this chart, and I always kind of read what's happening there, because I kind of feel that whatever they're going through now is what we're about to just getting ready to enter, right? As we're getting to this new normal. Here is when you're spending a lot of time online. Just make sure that you have your software up to date, that you have all of your anti-malware, all of your systems in place. Make sure that you use strong passwords. As a matter of fact, they recommended that you change the password on all of your systems at least once a month. They also try to only use company computers, try not to use any kind of public computer systems for your stuff. And this seems kind of like a normal thing for all of us, but I don't know about you guys, but I never really gave it a second thought about whether my stuff was up to date or if my computer was sharing something. But now it's more than ever, they're saying it's super important that we do this. The other thing that they want you to make sure that you're aware of is, number two, the children. Right? We don't know, many of us, if our children are going to be going back to school after the summer break. My son's school ends next week, thank God. But, discussing with your child what this new normal will look like in your home, right? Making sure that you talk about online and offline safety. I know my son games a lot. He's always online gaming, and there are chat rooms and there's all kinds of things. That is the number one targeted area where these people in Europe are coming in to try to get and hack and do all that kind of stuff, right? Make sure that you are, right, listening to what the kids are saying, and make sure that you stay alert for signs of distress from your own children. Just making sure that they understand that these are the new rules, this is the new way, and to really teach them security, as well as the same security that you're going to be doing. And here's about your finances. We just talked a lot about finances, but interestingly enough, apparently there is quite a bit of investment bargains and loans, cheap offers for goods and services, maybe a suspicious job opportunity. All these things are being created right now. By the way, and I don't know if can I slide it over? Oh, hold on. Oh, I see. If you see here, basically, in Europe, they're discussing about saying goodbye to cash. I mean, haven't you ever thought about how disgusting cash is when you touch it, right? How are you going to deal with cash? Get used to online payments. secure connections, deal only with reputable websites, use credit cards online, not debit cards, by the way. If you're using a debit card to purchase anything online, you probably should stop. If you're dealing with cryptocurrency, there are some ways to do it. Not that we recommend that, but if you are, just really, really be careful in all 4 areas so that when you go back and you start reinventing, like what Curtis was saying and what Jeff was saying, reinventing your new normal, you really understand that it's just not about being safe for your health, but it's being safe from all this phishing activity. And by the way, there's a website that has, and I should have brought it up, but I don't have it up, that shows you a map of all of the cyber attacks that go on every single minute of the day from Europe to here. And I think next time I'll put it up. It's unbelievable. It has increased by almost 250%, right? Of people just trying to be aware of phone calls. For example, I was on a call last week and somebody said, the IRS will never call you. IRS does not notify you anything over the phone. They're only saying, if it doesn't come through the mail, it's not real. So be very safe on falling into any of those kind of the new normal has also brought new crime, right? And just to be aware. Any thoughts or comments or any experiences that you've had with any of this? Anyone? Is this helpful? I hope.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, the chart's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something that I am going to incorporate and I'm going to add when I send something to my clients, just as a personal thing to give, right? We have to not just help our clients with their finances, but we also, when we come across information that's important to the overall wellness of you and your family and protection of the things that you work so hard to get, I'm going to continue to share these kind of things. And, I read their articles every time it comes up because it's interesting to me to see how they're operating now that they're reopening and going back and how their systems are dealing with things that maybe we can incorporate that into some of our systems. And I think at the end of the day, and by the way, this new normal term will be just as annoying as the social distancing term, right? Like they get it's one term and then they just go over and over and over. There's no new normal. This should have been the normal all along, right? We should have been more protected, more prepared. We should be more aware. We just got lazy, I think, as a world, as a society, and now we're where we are, but now we know better. And just taking some new steps to make sure that there's communication and that there is protection is as vital as anything else that you're going to take care of as far as finances. Any comments, anything to share? Kemer, you're so quiet today. How come you won't say a word?
I'm sorry.
And you always say words. Say something today. Come on.
Well, I think with all of this stuff, the new normal, I think I don't agree with the new normal. I feel like in 3 or 4 years, we're going to be back to where we were. I don't think we were doing anything wrong. I mean, you're taught as your children grow, they're going to get sick and they're going to build immunities, and we have herd immunity. And, I think I don't really, I mean, people can get mad. I don't disvalue people's lives, and death is a horrible thing, but I don't believe this is a pandemic. I think this is an overreaction. I mean, people are scared to die. A lot of people are. You're scared to see your loved ones hurt, and it's a terrifying scenario where you cannot be with your family member if they go in. And I know how bad hospitals are. So, I don't know.
And isn't it sad? That is during this horrendous period of time where people are that crime becomes even more of an issue, right? People take an opportunity to take advantage of what's happening right now, right?
Oh, there's always bad people. We've had my wife's Walmart online account got hacked. They tried to buy in Alabama, they tried to buy $700 in groceries. Thankfully, it didn't go through, and we, changed the password and we got a new debit card and we went through all of that. But yeah, I mean, that's the worst part of it all is there's always sharks lurking in the water, no matter how down and out you are.
Yeah, and that's why I agree with you. The new norm, as far as the illness itself, I'm with you. I am a little torn because I kind of feel like your body needs to create the immune system needs to build itself through getting this. So, the health aspect of it is a whole new discussion. For me, I think it's really more having better systems as a family and a head of household to protect the family from this type of situations, right? Someone trying to hack my
100%.
account. Someone trying to hack my
100%.
account. Yeah. I mean, and I'm going to.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the see, you got to control what you can control. One of the things I always tell people, stop looking for other people to solve your problems. And,
Right.
If people are talking about, let's take the virus, a vaccine, you don't need a vaccine. You need to figure out how to boost your own immune system. That's the problem, okay? And so, because your body's already designed to do that, you just got to give it what it needs to be able to protect that. When it comes to finances, you need more than one way to make money. You need to have liquidity. You have to, and so to me, that's the message of strength that I'm trying to give out to our clients. Because here's the thing, if you give up your liberty because you want to be a sheep, it's never going to be normal. It's going to be normal that somebody can shut you down. So you have to, we have to be vocal for our clients and people that we know to, if you, what does Ben Franklin say? If you give up your liberty for safety, you deserve neither. Something like that.
That's interesting saying. Yeah.
That's what our whole, it's freedom with responsibility. So yes, it's horrible, but some people are going to die, but the cure can't be worse than the disease.
Well, and that's exactly right. And I think that, go ahead.
Yeah.
Cameron.
The one thing I'm going to say is all we're doing right now is trying to prevent people from getting sick. There's no true proven information about this, sheltering in place of what it did. But people die every day in this country from hunger. You want to control people from not dying and really care about it? A lot of people every day die from hunger. Mm-hmm. And you can control that. It's very simple to solve that problem. You give them food. I'm just saying, these statistics don't add up. And when you start comparing everything, it's just use common sense. If everybody continues to use common sense, and for those that don't, they can go away and they can go sit in jail or go home and be locked down, but use common sense. Approach things with a little bit of thought and you'll be fine. If it's, taking vitamins and boosting your immunity, if it's knowing that my wife's grandma or my wife's, your grandpa and mom are targets, separate them, make them stay home. If they need something, we'll go get it. Help those who need the help, but have common sense knowing that, I can't even watch the news anymore.
Right.
But when you look at things that can be controlled, like hunger, and we're not controlling that, and this is the problem, it's a fear-mongering tactic to scare people. And I don't like that. That's not what this country was built upon. And, I think a lot of people, you see here in this town when Ross opened up, people are ready to get back out. And I think a lot of people aren't buying the hype anymore, and I like it, and I think it's going to come back to normal. They sold out the tickets to Raiders. They just did it, and they sold out. How are you going to seat everybody in that arena with the rules and stipulations? The NFL is going to lay down. You're talking about massive legal battles where it's going to be state and county and local, or government versus private lawyers, and judges are going to go, constitutionally, you can't do that. It's their right. So it's going to be interesting. Again,
they'll do that.
So, Yvonne.
You're right. Exactly.
I know
that's the law. But see, the thing is, on the other side, just started from Think, those also create opportunities. And so I tend to be, I focus on the positive. So it's like, okay, how do we protect ourselves? And then how do we help our clients, protect themselves and take advantage of opportunities simultaneously. So I think
as we speak, I am working on an on-demand delivery sushi company because I can't rely on doing events because of this. Right. Everybody and their mom in my marketplace is like, oh, virtual events. I don't want to do that. There's no money in that, and I'm not excited about that. And I'm not going to do it. But if I can see another opportunity to where if I can wait this out over here, build another empire over here, and actually for the first time in my life really have a form of cash flow, that's where I'm going. That's my thought process. I'll stall this out, wait 18 months maybe if I have to, open up something that I can really focus on, build it, get it moving. You know, it's exactly that. Because I can't wait. I can't sit around and wonder what's going to happen. I have to react before my money's all gone and I did nothing but just wait to die, essentially. Right? So it's just, you got to do what you got to do. You know, I agree completely in that aspect.
I just wanted to add one thing before we all go. I have now heard of 2 people here who have said that they're with the Employment Security Division website. You can go in to start a new account just to make sure that no one's fraudulently using your information to receive benefits. I've now heard of 2 friends who have been, their identity has been stolen to receive government benefits. So I think that's a very real issue, and it goes along with what you were talking about earlier, Yvonne. So I just want to make sure it's, like I said, it's very real, and I just see now that 2 people have had that happen. So we need to be on
you know, there's identity theft, insurance, protection.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So see, that's something you can't control. If thieves want your stuff, they're gonna get it.
And I'm glad you said that, Curtis, because I was talking to, we have a client that has a Guardian policy. We're trying to get some money out, and Guardian has actually stopped all DocuSign. They want wet signatures because of fraud. They have had people taking loans on people's accounts, and it wasn't really them. They've had a lot of problems with identity theft and calling in to get loans, and so they're putting an additional verification process. I mean, that's just human nature, right? And these people are going to try to manage this through crime, and all I'm saying is you know, I was never really one that was that aware of what website I'm visiting, but I'm going to become more aware, and the choice is what I do. Because I think it'll be interesting, you know, once unemployment starts to run out, once more people, right, are hurting financially, all they're going to do is try to find a way, instead of bettering themselves, is how to do it through crime, how to get into your accounts, how to do all of that. So it sucks, but it'll be really interesting to see what the next 3 months are going to bring, I think, right? Vegas is back on June 1. We have hotels opening up. I have a client who told me that they're at 40% capacity, which that's hopeful. Right? So, I mean, I kind of feel like we're going to be a lot better than I think we're going to be. I know, you know, I'm going to try to support small businesses here, of course, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
The tipping point will be when the government no longer wants to help people and people have to figure it out. And they have to, it has to be an even transfer of power, if that's what you want to call it, because you can't keep all these restrictions in place but expect people to go back to work knowing that there's no jobs available, right? So if they don't do that correctly, and we're a prime example of that. I mean, they're talking about Caesars is going to open up 2 properties, MGM is going to open up 2 properties, and you've got a lot riding on that, though. I mean, my wife works for the culinary union, and thank God she manages their insurance, so she's busy right now. But I'm going, if they don't keep paying in, or we don't get people back to work and paying back into that fund, your job, they can, you know, you went from having 100,000 people using and you know, working, paying into the system. Now you have 25,000, 10,000, I don't know. And you have to, everybody's going to have to cut down employment to get ramp back up later. So, I mean, it's all those unknowns that, you know, I see, and I'm like, we got to find a way out of these unknowns and control what we can control. Yeah. And, you know, thankfully right now she's working, but, you know, it's got to be very calculated. And Sisolak does not have any idea how to operate a business. He has no idea, sadly. And I think it's very important in politics these days, is you have to have that, you know. So we'll see what happens for us.
We'll see. I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, we need to take care of our families, and we need to take care of ourselves. So Wash
Well, I
your
never-
hands?
One thing to say that's funny though is a guy posted, he said, feeding my family is essential. Therefore, my work is essential, no matter what it is. We all have families to feed.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. Like, what do we mean? What's essential? Survival is essential. Eating is essential. I need to work. We all need to work.
Right.
Whatever that may be. So I'm done. You asked me to talk. I did it.
Boy, that's the last time I'm going to ask for that to happen. Jeez. All right, everyone.
Have a great weekend,
Thank
everybody.
you guys. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Monday's a holiday, so you guys enjoy, be safe, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Ernie.
Bye. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Yvonne.
Curtis. Thank you, Jeff.
Bye. My pleasure.